Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. You are beautiful, just the way you are. Step into the love. You're illuminated by the glory of God's love. Step into the truth. From within, your abundance overflows. Our love can change one life. One life can change the world. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light.
Indeed, step into the light this morning and hope it's nice and cool where you are. Welcome to Vida Spiritual Learning Center. Very happy to have you join us here this morning. And just want you to know that our learning center is about spiritual learning. It is about giving you the tools to live your best life, to feel better about everything in your life. And we offer that to everybody equally, any walk of life, any talk of life, anywhere you are, we meet you where you are, invite you lovingly into our community. So thank you for being with us this morning. And toward emphasizing that end, I just want to remind you about our Vida vision and mission. And I will just read it to you. So if you're ready, just prepare your consciousness to prepare your hearing, or maybe you're reading it on the screen with us right now. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a fulfilling and joyous life. And I'll try my best in Spanish. Al valorar y potenciar todo, inspiramos una vida plena y alegre. And in continuing with modeling those spiritual practices that improve my life and improve your life, I'm going to invite our practitioner of the day, Angelica Guzman. And we are blessed to have her with us today. Good morning, Angelica. And she will be leading us in a meditation followed by an invocation. So take it away, Angelica. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So at this moment, I would like for you to sit comfortably on your chair. And if you wish to, you could close your eyes. We're going to take a long, deep breath. Inhale and exhale. And every inhale, we are going to feel peace and relaxation. We're going to let go any of stress or anything that might have our body tight. Breathe deeply to center ourselves in this moment, in this place. Welcoming and very happy to be reunited this morning, to learn, to share, to express our feelings and to our connection with the universe. This morning, as our topic is work, we know that we all do different kinds of work. And we know that every single action and every single activity we develop, we have God, we have this universe within us. We have this energy that helps us and gives us all the strength to go through all the activities we do and we choose to do. And this is the part where I would like to concentrate and see that we make choice. Every single day we do our activities and we have already a schedule of what we want to do. There is always a choice to do everything. When we have in our mind a different attitude on what we choose to do, what we wish to do, instead of what we have to do, all our day activities have a different meaning. So this morning, we don't have to have some spiritual practice. We choose to have some spiritual practice. We decide we want to do some spiritual practice. We choose to be together. We choose to learn from each other. And we breathe deeply to let all this goodness within our bodies. We let all these positive thoughts within our mind. Always knowing that everything we do, all our activities are our choices. We choose to wake up every morning and enjoy an activity that provides everything we need for our family, for our living wills, for our health. We decide and choose to do exercise. We decide and choose to do our spiritual practices, our meditation. And we see that if I say I choose to do this meditation, it's a different connotation as if I say I have to do meditation. I have to wash the dishes. I wish, I decide and I choose for the well-being of my family to wash the dishes. I choose to exercise in the morning. I don't have to go running. I choose to go running. I choose to read a book and enlighten my thinking and my mind. I don't have to read a book. So this morning, I would like you to do some thinking and have in your mind a few things that you choose to do for today and for the upcoming week. Always feeling the blessing that we have the opportunity to do those activities, that we have our body in perfect condition, that we have our mind in perfect alignment with the universe, to choose and to decide to do these activities. I choose to enjoy some time with family. I decide to have a talk with my daughter. I will choose to enjoy my meals. So go ahead for a moment and make some choices instead of of have-tos for the day and for the coming week, and maybe for a future goal. You may want to make some choices about your well-being, yourself. I choose to eat what's healthy for my body. I don't have to eat vegetables. I choose to eat them. I decide to walk every morning. Think about what makes your heart feel good, what makes your body be healthy. What are the things that you may need for your perfection, for your well-being, for your complete unity with the universe? Let's choose for our own being. Having this sense of relief, we breathe deeply, knowing that we have the life of God with us, and that with these choices, everything that we have and everything that we want, it's in complete and perfect order. And at this moment, deeply, we are going to do some of our spiritual practice and start with that affirmative prayer. I know that I am one with God, that I am one with the universe, that the universe is everything that exists, that everything is part of the universe, and all of us are part of it, that the life of God is our life, and that everything in our life has a meaning, it has a reason to be. We know that every choice we make every day is the perfect one for our development and for our transition and for our upgrowing. We know that everything is in perfect order, that we are beings of love, caring, community, health, good being, and that with everything in our mind, with all the goodness in our heart, we go into our lives knowing that the presence of God is within us. We are thankful this morning to have the opportunity to be here, to enjoy life, to enjoy our family, to make our choices, to make decisions, and to live to the fullest. We know this is already the law, and it's already given to us, and so it is. And we breathe deeply. And little by little, we could come back to this now and today in this reunion with all of us. Thank you. We can hear you. But
Thank you so much. What a gentle but profound reminder of the power of our choices. Thank you very, very much. Well, I just have a couple of announcements for us today. Remember that we are supporting AHAYA, Center for Spiritual Living, in honor of their 80th anniversary. They are holding a musical celebration with Ricky Byers and Michael Gott. Most of you are familiar with both of their music in our New Thought movement and beyond. That's going to be at the Arcadia Performance Arts Center, Saturday, September 24th at 4:30 p.m. And tickets are $40, but if we buy the tickets, if we purchase the tickets on block through Vida, we get a little share in the proceeds of this fundraiser. So it's going to be a great concert either way, and if we participate as Vida, there's even a little bit more in the offing. A reminder that Reverend Sunshine is conducting a 4-week course called Living the Serenity Prayer. Some of you have taken this course before, and it's one of those courses that I feel you can take again and again and get that much more out of it. And it is designed to expand your concept of God as you understand God. The investment is $100, and if you bring a group of 5, it brings the per person cost down to $80 per person. That class is going to meet via Zoom October 6, 13, 20, and 27 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. And this is new and interesting, and at least it's new to us. We are, in a way, participating in the Long Beach Gives, and this is a Long Beach local kind of like extended sharing Tuesday of their own type. There'll be more details to come, but this kicks off on the 15th and runs through September 22nd. There are, I want to say, over 200 causes, and I can't remember exactly how many organizations. There we go, 16 causes and 222 nonprofits. There you go. And the beginning actually begins early on the 15th and runs through the 22nd. There'll be more details in email and website to come. And what you're encouraged to do on our social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, use the Long Beach Share either on Twitter or the hashtag on Facebook, so that more and more folks will be aware of this giving campaign, this fundraising campaign, and will joyously pitch in. Okay. And I want to give thanks to all those who bring this gathering and keep our Vida Spiritual Learning Center moving forward. Thanks again to our practitioner of the day, Angelica Guzman. Beautifully done, meditation and invocation. Thanks to our message coming to us from Gary Takasian today. So thank you, Gary, in advance. And thanks to our folks out looking on our live streams. I saw Chinzia out on Facebook already. So those who are looking in on our Facebook and Twitter and YouTube feeds, thank you. And thanks to those that are joining our gathering that way today. Thanks to our Leadership Council for keeping Vida Spiritual Learning Center operating behind the scenes and being excellent stewards of the resources, the considerable resources that our community is blessed with. Thanks to our technical team, and that is Barry and Gary, and anyone else who is interested in that. We're certainly growing into more technology. So thanks to those who are already doing it, and thanks to those who might join us. And finally, thanks to all of you for joining us here today it makes all the difference to be in this spiritual community, at least for me, and I trust it does for you. And if any of what we're doing today inspires you to contribute, to donate, if this is feeding you spiritually especially, and if you have that high consciousness of giving, that feeling of generosity, of abundance, of the overflow, of just circulating more good in the world by way of our Vida spiritual learning community, here are the ways that you contribute. You can mail a donation or a tithe to 1524 East Hellman Street, Long Beach, California, 90813. If you have Zelle, you can Zelle to our Zelle at vida@vidaslc.org. You can visit our website at vidaslc.org, and you can use the donate links there, or I've just put it in the chat on Zoom, and very shortly I'll have it up on the chat on our social media. And just know the abundance is real, as Hannah Bolton says, and let's keep it flowing. And with that, it's time for today's message. So take it away, Gary.
Hello, and welcome to Vida Spiritual Learning Center. I'm Gary Takasian. I'm a Science of Mind practitioner here at Vida, and it is my honor to bring you today's message. Our theme for 2022 has been Living Everyday Wonder, and each month we have focused on a different aspect of that theme. And this month we'll be looking at Living the Everyday Wonder of Work. And today's title, Creating a Life That Matters. As you may have guessed from the intro, we're going to be looking at this idea of creating a life that matters in the context of work. And to further examine the idea, one of the things we will be looking at is the difference between work and jobs. And to start us off, I would like to share with you a quote from one of my favorite progressive Christian theologians, and that's Matthew Fox. And he said this: "A job is something we do to get a paycheck and to pay our bills. Jobs are legitimate at times, but work is why we are here in the universe. Work and calling often go together." That distinction is significant for us since many of us use the words job and work interchangeably. How many times have we heard or said it ourselves, "Sorry, I have to go to work tomorrow"? The important part of that is the words have to. Being compelled by some outside force, which doesn't indicate passion or purpose. In the quote from Matthew Fox, he suggests that work plays a much more significant role than a mere job. Work, as he sees it, is the reason we're here, our life's calling, something that stimulates our imagination and spurs us into action. Work that we feel passionate about, gives meaning to our lives, and facilitates our contributions to the world. Another word that encompasses the idea of meaningful work is vocation. The word vocation comes from the Latin vocare, or voice. Vocation is therefore about listening to the voice of spirit that lies within and allowing it to express in, through, and as each of us. The Quakers have a saying, "Let your life speak." And a quote from author Parker Palmer echoes that same idea. He says, "Before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I must listen to my life telling me who I am." When we allow our lives to begin to speak to us, once the noise of the world has faded into the background, the voice of our life can be made known. As we quiet our minds and listen to the voice within, it speaks the truth that has called us into being, and it speaks that which makes us extraordinary. The call of vocation is to speak new life and to embody the wholeness of life itself. Vocation is the thing that we must do once we recognize it. Life is living a vocation, and it's not something that occurs in the recesses of our mind, for it is a new life emerging within us. Our vocation is an inward declaration of life and how we individually and collectively belong to this world. As students of science of mind, we understand that spirit expresses uniquely through each of us, according to our individual talents and abilities. Vocation, then, from a science of mind perspective, can be thought of as that which we find most compelling as our outlet for creative expression. And again, I turn to Parker Palmer, for he has an interesting take on this idea of vocation. He says, vocation at its deepest level is this something I can't not do, for reasons I'm unable to explain to anyone and don't fully understand myself, but that are nonetheless compelling. I'm going to read this one again because there's a lot to unpack in this. Vocation at its deepest level is this something I can't not do, for reasons I'm unable to explain to anyone else and don't fully understand myself, but that are nonetheless compelling. You may at some point have heard the workshop question, if money and health were no obstacle, what would you do with your life? Well, considering this question, I believe, begins to get at what Palmer is talking about as this something I can't not do. And in line with this idea, I've heard artists express a similar notion that they must create their art or they would get sick. Something within them that must be expressed. In a slightly different vein, Wayne Dyer said, "Don't die with your music still in you." And it's easy to believe that we are already living the life that we're supposed to be living. Excuse me. In his poem, Ask Me, William Stafford wrote, "Ask me whether I have done what I have done is my life." His point here is that we may be living in response to outward circumstances rather than inward desire. When this happens, we must listen to our life to find that center point within. One sure indication of a true life's work is having that something we would do whether or not we get paid for it. Of course, for those of us who do need to bring in enough income to sustain ourselves, our joy is then finding a paying gig that allows us to live a vocation that fulfills us monetarily and spiritually. Remember that career book with that catchy title, Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow? To follow the leadings of the heart is to give expression to our calling. Our vocation is an inward declaration of life and how we individually and collectively belong to this world. When we finally decide to free ourselves from the image of the impossible, our next steps are into a space and time where we get to declare, I am possibility. As I was working on the outline for the talk this past Thursday, the news came across that Britain's Queen Elizabeth had passed away at the age of 96. And while I've never been a royal watcher in any way, I was drawn to the media coverage of her passing, especially given that she's been the only British monarch in my lifetime. Until Thursday, there had always been, and in some strange way it seemed like there always would be, a Queen Elizabeth. This, in spite of my logical thinking that given her age, I knew at some point she would pass on. But it felt odd that this person who I never met but had always been there was now gone. And I noticed this synchronicity of learning about her passing while preparing this message. My bringing this up is not to voice a tribute to her. I'll leave that to those who are better qualified in current and historical events. But for me, it's briefly to focus on her life's work and what that can mean for us in today's topic of creating a life that matters. Whatever your feelings about the Queen, the royal family, or even the appropriateness of a monarchy at all in this year 2022, no one else I know in modern times has held the same job for 70 years. During that same time, the U.S. has had 14 presidents, from Harry Truman all the way to Joe Biden, all of whom the Queen had personally met, with the exception of Lyndon Johnson. I don't know the backstory on why the Queen and President Johnson never met in person, but that's a story for another time. Regarding her ascension to the throne, you might say, well, she was born into it. She lived a life of privilege. She came from a wealthy family. She had lots of help. All of those may be true enough, but it's worth remembering that had her Uncle Edward not abdicated the throne to Elizabeth's father, she would not have been in the line of succession at all. She was 10 years old when her father unexpectedly became king, when Edward gave up the throne. Her life took a major turn as she became heir apparent, and then had to grapple with the prospect of someday becoming queen. It obviously weighed on her. On her 21st birthday in 1947, while the royal family was in South Africa on a world tour, she introduced herself to the British Commonwealth in a radio address that would come to define her life's work. In part, she said, "I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong." At that time, neither she nor anyone else could have predicted that just 5 short years later, she would be elevated to the British throne at age 26. Remarkable to me is that this young woman, when she was 21, not only articulated her life's calling, but was able to fulfill her declaration in a full-time job that lasted 70 years. I see in the life of the young Princess Elizabeth, regardless of her station in life, an example of someone who, in light of the unknowable path before her, was able to recognize and to articulate a life's calling. The point for us in this story is that while we are each born with our own talents, abilities, and in our own circumstances, it is up to each of us to recognize and cultivate our calling, our passion, our vocation, regardless of the conditions in which we find ourselves. Of course, there are few people walking this earth who would ever find themselves in the circumstances similar to those of Elizabeth. But there are those among us who do know at an early age what they want to do in life. They pursue their passion, and they find deep satisfaction in their work. There are also many of us who find ourselves in jobs or professions that may have come to us by a chance meeting or an event, which at the time sounded exciting and later turned out to be less fulfilling than we'd hoped. For some of us, recognizing that our current work is not fulfilling gives us an opportunity to listen to the voice within and to set out on a new path. For others of us, where a complete change of scene may not be currently practical, the invitation becomes one of finding meaning within our current surroundings, discovering the joy of serving where we are until such a time as we can reevaluate our path and move on to something more meaningful. Essentially, it's an inside job, so to speak. Regardless of what we do to support ourselves, our work can be just a means to collect a paycheck, or it can be a meaningful, fulfilling way to express our passion for life. In the coming days, ask yourself, are you living the life you imagined? If you are, how so? If not, how would you like to live your life? And then sit quietly in the divine presence and listen as your life speaks. So let us affirm that today is the day that we allow our inner life to speak for us, shining the light that is emerging as us. When our lives speak for us, they speak words of purpose, intention, and wholeness, bringing us into the allness of who we have been called to be in the world. There is no greater self-esteem booster than knowing who we are and feeling passionate about what we have to offer the waiting world. Letting your life speak is about making room in your soul for the signs and messages in and around you that lift you up. Remember that vocation is not a title, it's not a role, a job, or an occupation, but it is the quiet yes that whispers to the soul. These are essential elements that must be embraced in this now moment and invited into our being. Your life will never stop speaking to you. It's up to each of us to listen for the sounds of the creation of a life that matters, now more than ever. And let me share with you now the affirmation for the day. The work of my soul is creating a life that matters. So if you would, join me now in a time of prayer. What I know and what I affirm in this time and in this place is that we are surrounded by this incredible power, presence, this one mind from which all things have been created. And I know that the all in that statement means all of us as well. For each of us are a part of that creation. Each of us are a part of that divine mind. And as such, each of us are imbued with that creative ability. We are created with that ability to be able to shape our lives. And it begins by listening to that part of us, that soulful place within, that knows why we are here. That each and every one of us has a calling. Each of us has a purpose. Each of us, as Wayne Dyer says, has music within us that needs to come out. And that comes out as our vocation, our purpose, our calling. And so let us this day give honor to that. Let us honor that within us, which becomes our creative expression. And so I just speak that to our community of Vida this morning, that each of us finds that place within, that place that we contribute to the world. And so I give thanks for knowing that truth, for knowing that within us there is that power of creativity. And so right now, I will just allow these thoughts, these words, to be released into the creative law, knowing that it takes that which we give, that which we put into it, and brings it into manifestation. And so I will say, and now it is, and so it is. Amen. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Gary. Beautifully done. Let's show Gary some love. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. Well done. And if this so moves you, just a quick reminder. Here's how you might donate to our community. And also a reminder, if you want to be supported in prayer, there's a link that takes you to our prayer request, or for those who are on Zoom or want to join Zoom, prayer with a practitioner is available immediately after our live stream. So let us know through the chat or otherwise through the request, and we love supporting each and every one of you in the highest possible consciousness. And with that, we will close with another prayer. And this is a prayer that we sing. And a prayer raised in song is a prayer prayed twice. So sing along where you are.
This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open hearts and open hands, we lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
Well, thank you again for joining us today. Everyone have a wonderful week. Those that are joining us on Zoom, stick around for fellowship. Those are on the live stream. Thank you so much. We will see you next week at the same time.